More than 1 billion people use the internet in China, but the internet in China is a lot different than other countries in the world. While the world enjoys innovations from Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Amazon, China has blocked all these websites. But at the same time, they have their in-house tech. There is Baidu instead of Google, Alibaba instead of Amazon, and Tencent, which can compete with Meta with its super app WeChat. China has an alternate to every innovation from the West. But these innovations are not just copies. Chinese apps are becoming global leaders, and the Chinese government has played a significant role in shaping the internet in China, known as the Great Firewall of China. As per the Chinese government, this censorship is required to protect its citizens from the dangerous content and influence of the West. However, the world claims that these regulations are the symbol of the lack of internet freedom in China. But despite all the claims, the Great Firewall is only getting stronger. But what's the truth? Is the global internet actually harmful and China is only protecting its people? Let's figure out. In the 1980s, China opened up to the rest of the world with economic reforms known as the socialist market economy. Slowly, the Chinese population got exposed to the ideas and attitudes of the Western world. In 1998, the Communist Party of China saw it as a threat to its social values and political ideology. While they knew the power of the internet to fuel economic growth, but they also saw its exposure as dangerous for Chinese society. So they came up with a regulatory framework with a sophisticated system of internet censorship, officially known as the Golden Shield Project, which is also known outside of China as the Great Firewall of China. As per CPC, the internet should be a part of country's sovereignty and as such should be governed by it. The first phase of Great Firewall was completed in 2006. The government added controls to monitor internet activity and added surveillance tools. After the first phase, the second phase was rolled out in 2006 and was completed in 2008. Since then, it has grown in complexity and scope to monitor internet usage, including video monitoring, internet security, and facial recognition devices. China's domestic internet is also under the control of Communist Party of China, and they use an army of cyber police to monitor the domestic internet actively. The government also monitors online activity and requires internet service providers to collect user data and censor content that is deemed objectionable. So the government monitors virtually everything on the web. But this Great Firewall of China has been instrumental in the growth of domestic companies in China. China has more than 1 billion internet users, which is almost 1/4 of all the internet users on the planet. And that's why Chinese companies flourished in the domestic market. Tencent, Baidu, WeChat, Alibaba, Douyin, Bilibili, and Pinduoduo are just a few successful alternates to global internet apps. So on one side, the Great Firewall gave rise to domestic tech companies in China. On the other side, it became easier for government to monitor and control the social trends and political dissent with these domestic companies. For the rest of the world, if you don't comply with Chinese regulations, you are kicked out. For example, in January 2010, Google was forced to pull out of China after it refused to comply with government demands to filter its search results. Banning of crypto is another example, which forced all the mining and trading to stop overnight, and all crypto exchanges and mining companies relocated overseas, wiping out the whole industry from China. Now the question is, how does China control this vast internet? Well, China uses a few methods to censor the content on the internet. The first method is the URL blocking or filtering. It is one of the most effective and straightforward methods, which consists of a series of proxies that monitor and filter traffic on the web. The proxies scan a series of characters to locate information on servers, scan a web page content, and look for target keywords to block. As soon as a keyword matches, the entire page is blocked. Another method is DNS poisoning. Whenever you type a URL in the web browser, it converts into an IP address and uses the domain name system to identify and serve relevant content. The Great Firewall of China uses a series of fake DNS servers that return invalid IP addresses if you try to open blocked sites, thus preventing users from accessing the site altogether. For example, if you enter google.com into your web browser, the Great Firewall, instead of returning the correct IP address associated with google.com, will poison the DNS, and the IP address information will be intercepted via gateway server, that manipulates the DNS response by filtering content on certain keywords. Another method is active probing. It works by probing any connection request to an outbound server, such as one located outside China. The Great Firewall inspects the nature of the request, and if it detects that the IP is part of a prohibited server network, it cancels the request and blocks the IP. VPN providers and even the use of Tor project can be blocked this way. Apart from these methods, they use man-in-the-middle attacks, where the Chinese government impersonates and uses root certificates from Chinese authorities instead of ones by actual providers. Another method is direct VPN blocking. The Chinese government is against the use of VPNs, and the Great Firewall analyzes traffic using methods like deep packet inspection to detect if someone is using a VPN. By inspecting individual packets of data sent to the server, it can identify where it came from, including any applications in use. Although many people still use VPNs, but it is getting increasingly dangerous to do so. Apart from this, China uses self-censorship and manual enforcement to catch non-authorized content. As per Chinese regulations, Chinese firms are responsible for their own content, and that's why these firms employ thousands of workers to monitor their own sites and pull down any inappropriate content. With its cyber sovereignty, on one side, China has developed a system of internet regulation and censorship. But on the other side, China's own internet has been expanding rapidly and is taking over other countries. Chinese tech companies have been investing heavily in foreign markets by acquiring local companies and investing in startups outside of China. These steps have allowed China to gain a foothold in key markets such as Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Apart from this, they are also involved in building internet infrastructure in other countries, using undersea, satellite, and mobile networks. China's telecommunications firm Huawei has been seeking to make inroads in Costa Rica and Chile to provide 5G technology and other services. This gives China greater control over the flow of information in these countries and allows Chinese tech companies to promote Chinese language search engines and other online services directly to consumers using its own technology standards and protocols, which could help to shape the future of internet in these countries as well. They are promoting the idea that a diminishing West, especially the United States, is determined to thwart China's rise. The Chinese government still invokes the idea that China suffered a century of humiliation at the hands of these imperialist powers. The Great Firewall was intended to shield Chinese citizens from information that the government of People's Republic of China considered to be dangerous. But the split internet is creating another set of dangers, limiting the ability of those within China to access any information source they choose freely. But still, the government is not satisfied with blocking and filtering out unwanted opinions, and now it keeps looking for new ways to use technology to its advantage. The internet has become a medium for government propaganda to hide information and fuel disinformation. The Communist Party of China has its own app, Study Strong Country. In the beginning of 2019, the app was the most downloaded app in China, even more than WeChat and Douyin. The app aims at shaping the nation's minds under Xi Jinping's presidency. But if you look closely, the app is a surveillance tool to directly manipulate millions of Chinese people. Users of the app are able to learn Xi's thought, read state media news, take online learning courses, and earn points based on their usage. These points accumulate and can be used as a point of reference for their employers and ultimately for the Chinese Communist Party. Let us know what you think about the Great Firewall of China. Do you think China's firewall is a tool for the government to spread misinformation and their political narratives, or is it actually beneficial to protect their culture and values? Let us know in the comments below, and definitely subscribe to the channel. This is an extremely small channel and your support will help me with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you.